My name is Michael Webster-Clark from the University of North Carolina Gilling School of Global Public Health. Today, I'd like to thank you on behalf of my colleagues for your interest in our article, Reweighting Oranges to Apples, Transported Rely Trial versus Non-Experimental Effect Estimates of Anticoagulation in Atrial Fibrillation, to be published in Epidemiology. Our goal with this work was to answer one of the main questions that is frequently encountered in epidemiology and public health. What to do when the results of a randomized controlled trial disagree with the results of subsequent or prior non-experimental studies that are actually performed in the types of target populations that we're interested in studying and potentially intervening on. With this paper, we set out to standardize a whole host of things that could explain the difference in the effect estimates between one particular trial, the Rely trial of dabigatran versus warfarin in atrial fibrillation, and subsequent non-experimental work that had been done in older adults that had shown some similar results, but also some very different results. We standardized the type of follow-up, we standardized the doses being compared in the two studies, and we even tried to standardize the outcome definitions being used. In addition, we also standardized the actual population being studied, meaning that we reweighted the Rely trial population to look like the actual population of older adults that were observed in the non-experimental study that we conducted. Essentially, we conducted these two studies. We reweighted the Rely trial to look like our target population of Medicare recipients, and we analyzed the results. After we did this, we found that the results were broadly similar for some outcomes, like ischemic stroke, but very different for others, where there may be intractable confounding in the non-experimental study, like death and all-cause mortality, or where we didn't have sufficient effect measure modifying variables to effectively standardize the trial to look like the target population. This is more applicable for gastrointestinal bleeding. The central limitations of our study were that we can't necessarily distinguish between unmeasured confounding in the non-experimental study and unmeasured effect measure modification that we couldn't account for when we transported the trial to the target population. The only way we have to distinguish between that is intuition and past studies that have acknowledged that there may be differences between populations that are just not sufficiently captured in the data sets we use to conduct our non-experimental study, and the simple fact that we didn't know that much about bleeding history in patients in the trial. Essentially, we hope that this work is a demonstration that will allow others to conduct a similar analysis and go beyond simply standardizing analytic methods towards trying to standardize the target populations when you sit down and try to compare the results of one study to the results of another study.